Buenos tardes, bienvenidos. Soy Tyrell Ordine, aka the Cricket Rockstar Divo, welcoming you all back to my YouTube channel. Who would have ever had thought, from being dead and buried yesterday to pulling off the greatest comeback in Test cricket? It just goes to show that Test cricket is at its finest best. India, against all odds, won the fifth and final Test match of the Jimmy Anderson Sachin Tendulkar Trophy Test Series by just 6 runs. Can you imagine? Just 6 runs, the narrowest margins for India to win a test match anywhere. The previous margin of India narrowly winning a test match was 13 runs, which was against Australia in 2004, which was under the captaincy of Rahul Dravid. 21 years later, flash forward into 21 years later in 2025, India were on the back foot for most of yesterday till that half an hour in which Siraj caused riots. But let me tell you something, not only he alone but also Prashant Krishna, because they were the only two fast bowlers who although they were very tired, put out everything to keep India in the hunt of drawing the series, which they did. Coming into the final day's play in what was a thrilling conclusion to the 5th test, in which they did win by 6 runs, it began with England needing another 35 runs for victory with 4 wickets in hand and a broken Chris Woakes as well. Why I'm saying that is because he dislocated his shoulder on day 1 and had to bat left-handed with a sling. However, the only thing he did was running. We will get to that. When they started this morning, Siraj and Krishna's brilliance with the ball helped England, or should I say saw them bowl England out for 367. Mohammad Siraj, who by the way I hear is deputy of police in Telangana, which is in Hyderabad. This man, let me tell you, he has become one of my favorite fast bowlers of late. And furthermore, let me tell you all something. He is more of a player than Jasprit Bumrah, no doubt about it. I love Bumrah though, but ever since Bumrah started having those injuries and those stuff, Mohammad Siraj has, in my opinion, become one of my favorite bowlers. There was Mohammad Shami at time, but he fell off the radar. But Siraj, let me tell you something. He was the star of the show. He was a Shandar star of the show for India, taking 3 wickets on the final day to complete a 5-wicket haul, finishing the series with 23 wickets from 5 matches. His pinpoint Yorker to dismiss Gus Atkinson sealed the deal and a remarkable victory for Team India. Prashant Krishna, who was his partner in crime, he played a crucial role, taking 4 wickets in the innings. Now, by the way, India also had Akash Deep, but he didn't bowl much in the second inning. But the big moment yesterday was the wickets of Harry Brook and Joe Root in the final session, which started the turnaround in dramatic fashion. And before I get to Mohammad Siraj, let me take a moment to commend Chris Woakes, and I'll tell you why. He was the last batter to come out for England with a sling on his left hand. As many all may or may not know, he dislocated his shoulder on the opening day of the final test. And to show all that character to help out Gus Atkinson, who was trying to get those remaining 17 runs, which he didn't do in the end because he only got 10 of those. It just goes to show this series has had so much remarkable moments, which I'll get to later on. However, that dislocated shoulder that Chris Woakes sustained on day 1 could well cost him as England's toy, could well cost him a place on England's touring party to Australia for the Ashes in November, December, because we don't know what is going to be the timeline Woakes is going to be out for. But coming back to Mohammad Siraj now, yesterday, or should I say today, before the start of play, he posted this on his social media stating, "Believe and always have faith." It reminds me of one of the teachers down in school who always tell me have faith and always have patience. Not only her, but all the other staff members. Shout out to my teammates at Palmeiras though. Siraj is surely the survivor of the fittest. And he was the only one that played every single match in the series when Bumrah was having those cramps and those recurrence of those injury problems. He showed a lot of heart He threw his heart out for his entire country. 23 wickets in all 5 matches, and I believe he took about 2 or 3 5-wicket hauls in the series. And unfortunately, in my opinion, he could have been the one that gotten the player of the series, but I will not take away Shubman Gill's record-breaking run fest in the series neither. But let me tell you something about Mohammad Siraj. He is a fabulous character on the cricket field. And he's a bit like Cristiano Ronaldo too, but that's another story. The 2-all draw is not just a victory for either India or England. It's a win-win for both sets of fans, but overall it's a win-win for the fans, not just of the two teams, but those who always loved watching Test cricket. Hashtag long live Test cricket. Harry Brooks surprisingly was adjudged the player of the series for England, scoring 481 runs at an average of 53.44, which included a couple of tons in the series. But I'll be very honest with you, and I'll tell you something. He shouldn't have gotten the player of the series. In my opinion, the player of the series should have went to England's Joe Root, and I felt very disappointed with India's head coach Gautam Gambhir, who nominated him ahead of Root when Root was England's leading run scorer. But overall, talking about Root, he scored 537 runs at an average of 67.12. And on the Indian side of things, it was not a surprise that India's captain Shubman Gill won the Player of the Series award for the visitors after he was the leading run scorer throughout the entire series, scoring 754 runs at an average of 83.78, with his highest score being 269 in the series. He, however, was 20 runs shy of breaking Sunil Gavaskar's record for the highest amount of runs in a single Test series. This series has had everything, so here are some of my favorite moments from the series, and there were a lot that I could have chosen from, but these are my favorites. First of all, the records galore throughout all of the 5 matches, which included the most number of batters scoring over 400 runs in a single Test series, which is nine of the batters, however, scoring over 400 plus runs, and the most number of centuries by a team in a single Test series, 12 by India, while there was only 5 centuries from England, which came from Joe Root, who scored 3, and Harry Brooks too. They were the backbone of England's batting order throughout the series. And even Ben Stokes and the others were on the list. However, with the aggressive baseball tactics, that would have literally costed them though. But Shubman Gill's record-breaking run scoring throughout the entire 5-match series was one of my favorite moments. He became the first Indian to score over 700 plus runs in a Test series against England. But a couple of my favorite moments from the series have to be especially the nail biter at Lords, in which England won by just 22 runs, and the 5th and final Test at the Oval, in which India won by 6 runs. And let me tell you something, there are also mentions for Rishabh Pant, who came out to bat with a broken foot in the Manchester Test, and Chris Woakes in this particular Test, where he came out to bat at number 11 with a sling on his left hand following his dislocating of his shoulder on the left side. But one of my other favorites was Jofra Archer's first over wicket on return to dismiss Jaiswal. But overall, this whole series has had so much characters and architects, from Shubman Gill to Ben Stokes to Mohammad Siraj to Joe Root. Jasper Puma was one of the architects. Sadly, he only played 3 out of the 5 Tests, so I couldn't have considered him one of the architects. But this series has had everything, and it will be remembered for a long time to come. That's gonna do it for this video. Hope you guys liked it. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also follow me on my social media platforms. So until we meet again, my friends and followers, be good, be cool, stay frosty, and we'll continue. Mwah.